There's a motion on the floor to get a follow-up report June 24th. Is there any more discussion on that motion? Ms. Sarn.
Will it make any difference to the presentation if the policy committee has not met and made a recommendation that could be implemented at the high school?
That was the question I had.
I'm wondering if the policy committee is put together, if the suggested motion is made and passed, then the policy committee will be reviewing this policy, perhaps making changes to the policy that could be implemented and impact what's going on at the high school. Will all of that happen before the end of the year?
It's a good question, and I think we have to act on that as a board. If we're going to send it to policy, I think we have to consider that time frame, and that is something that we have to decide. Ms. Fisher, and then Ms.
Well, I was going to make a motion before Kyle made it that we take this up at our next policy meeting, which is April 4th,
right?
Which we can bring back to the board on our next meeting after that, 8th. So it could be done quickly.
Ms. Goldich? Okay. On the follow-up report discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to say, I still would like to see a report on the 24th, just to, besides the revisit at the policy committee, I still would like to see where we are on the 24th, just to monitor.
If I see no more discussion, I'm going to call that motion to a vote to have a follow-up report on the community service project for the freshmen on June 24th. By show of hands, all in favor? Yeah, that's unanimous. Opposed or?
No.
It is unanimous. Motion passes. Is there any other action, Mrs. Fisher?
I move that the Vernon Board of Education refer suggested changes to policy to the board's policy committee for their April 4th meeting. We hope to bring it back. April 2nd. Our April 2nd meeting and bring it back with possible revisions at our April 8th board.
I have a motion to send this back to policy for their next meeting. Is there a second on that motion? Ms. Sarn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a vote by show of hands. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Ms. Sarn?
Can I ask one more question? When we were discussing this, we made some assumptions and maybe we were wrong. Is it silly to think that there are things that students could be doing at the high school that are considered community service? I mean, we weren't talking about going out into the community to these organizations. We were talking about tutoring a fellow student can be considered community service, doing cleanup on the football field, whatever. That's all community service.
You run into different...
Well, okay, bad example. I'm sorry. Stepping on others' toes.
Yes, exactly. So we run into a couple of things, but there have been opportunities that we have used at the school that some kids have taken advantage of, but the amount of hours would never meet the need just within the school. But I do know that, again, people in the community who have heard through parent groups and different things that we needed available hours and different things have contacted us, but they might not want to be on the sheet as the direct contact. For example, they might contact me and say, we'd love to see a group of 5 to 8 students out on the rails to trails on this day at this time, but they don't want the students to contact them. They would contact me and say, this is the opportunity and you need to bring supervision. So it might go a different route than being on the list. So we kind of go in both directions in ways that students might be able to contact somebody directly and do something versus somebody from the outside might actually contact us and say, I have this need if you want to find someone to fulfill it.
Thank you for your report this evening. Item 5.6, this is the administration reorganization. This is another motion that we need to take action to untable prior to going into our discussion on this, since it was tabled at our last meeting. Is there somebody who wishes to make a motion to untable this topic for discussion? Ms. Sarn.
I move to return the discussion of central office reorganization.
I have a motion to untable the administrative office reorganization. Is there a second on that motion to untable? Ms. Fisher. A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to untable? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. All in favor? And it's unanimous. That item is now untabled and we can take action. Is there anybody wish to put a motion on the table to initiate discussion? Mr. Kemp.
First question, with regard to the Director of Pupil Personnel, Training and Resources.
Can we get a motion on the floor so that, for the discussion for this item?
We could, I don't know what motion I want to make. If it has to do with some of the answers I might get before that. Unless you prefer to have one, then I'll yield the floor.
I'd prefer to have the motion just to make sure that we have the debate based on the motion.
Okay.
Ms. Sarn.
All right, for the purpose of discussion, I move that the board approve the central office reorganization.
I have a motion to approve the central office reorganization. Mr. Vuitto?
I second it.
A motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Mr. Kemp, you have the floor.
Actually, it's such an all-encompassing issue here that making one solitary motion regarding all of it is significant. I would not want to vote against a motion like that because I disagree with some piece or pieces of it. And yet a motion that you wanted out there now, which has been made, would, unless I agree with all of it, necessitate that I vote against it. I don't know if that's a good thing, but there we are.
Did you wish to speak to any of the
Well,
items?
the first question I have, the Director of Pupil Personnel Services, I'd like to know if the $6,740 is a stipend or if it's inclusion in the base salary.
That would be inclusion in the base salary. I was looking to place the, to pull that position out of the administrators union because they will be dealing with personnel files, which the assistant superintendent does now. So we have, so that's the difference between the current assistant superintendent salary and the director's salary. So that would be up to the board at the end of the year, but that's my suggestion.
You still have the floor, Mr. Kemp.
I don't mind that the additional amount of money be, as fair compensation be included, but I would have preferred that it be in the form of a stipend rather than inclusion in the general salary. But so I'm not entirely happy with that aspect of that. I just don't know about the rest of it as to where I might go on voting.
Thank you. Mr. Boutar.
Director.
Please use your microphone so folks in the back of the room can hear.
Director of People Personal Services. What is the middle one? Related services? What does that mean?
Related services, the Director of Pupil Personnel is in charge of the guidance personnel, of social workers, school psychologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech and language. Those are related services.
Thank you.
Ms. Fisher.
I have several questions. First of all, the coordinator of out-of-district placement for the .5 position. $56,000 seems like pretty high.
That's half of an administrator's salary right now.
But is this person going to be an administrator?
Yes.
You'll have to have an
An too, yes.
All right. And then same thing with the seed employee. I'm kind of confused on that.
The state evaluation, the new evaluation document and plan is going into effect next year, and our committee of teachers and administrators has determined that we are going to follow the state model. Right now, the state model has us doing 6 observations on every single teacher in the district. So that increases our observations about 5 times what they would normally be. So what I was looking for there was, and you can see in the breakout, was possibly someone who is in charge of pre-K through 6 and someone who's in charge of 7 through 12. So those would be 2 half-time positions that could be married to the out-of-district coordinator and the assessment pieces. So that then you would have 2 people in charge of that evaluation piece, really owning those pieces, but owning them elementary, secondary. And that's how and certification breaks off between 6 and 7. You're generally 7-12 or you're K through 6, or there's a bunch that are K-8.
And those also are administrators, but
Yes.
why is that salary $1,000 different than the out of placement?
Which one?
The coordinator of out of district is $56,000 and these are $57,000.
I think I was going with the positions that were in the budget for people who, we have 2 administrators who would be displaced and to be receiving new positions. And so one of them has an additional degree and there's a stipend with that. So I don't know which one, would end up with which position or which 2 halves of positions.
Okay.
But they were based on the 2 people who are currently administrators whose positions under this plan would not exist and they would be getting new positions.
And my last question is in regards to health and phys ed and athletics. And I'm very confused at the breakdown of the money here and who's going to do what.
Okay. In the athletic director position, I was informed by CIAC that governs athletics that unless the person is working under an 092, an administrator cert, then they cannot supervise more than 1 building, an athletic director. It's part of the regulations just with athletic director. And so there would have to be someone who would be at the middle school 6-8. They do not have nearly as many sports and activities and intramurals as we do at the high school. So my thought was, and the teachers union is aware of this, but we have in no way, even opened the door to the negotiations that would have to happen. That my thought was that it would be a stipended position, and that's why there are asterisks here, would be negotiated. It'd be a stipend position at the middle school, and at the high school, one of the models that is popular is that it's a teaching position that is like half-time. But what I did was 0.4. So if it was a teacher who would be having the last block off every single day to be athletic director, that's 0.4 of the teaching. So they would only be teaching 3 other classes. And then on top of that, there's a stipend because it's a lot of after-school activities.
And do you think a 0.4 is enough time for someone to take care of athletics at the high school?
Well, it's done in other schools. That's, I think CIAC would love to see us have full-time people doing that.
And then, so with this, are we talking about 3 different teachers, or will there be one person who might do the head of PE health and be the athletic director at the high school?
There could be some teachers who would like to do 2, but my thought was 3 different people. It doesn't.
And they all have to have 092s?
No, none of those people have 092s.
And how can they evaluate?
They will not. You're still talking about athletics?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would not be evaluated.
So to evaluate coaches or?
The coaching is part of the athletic directors. You can do that as an athletic director.
Okay, and then so the principal,
teachers.
the principal would be the one evaluating
The athletic directors. Right, and the PE teachers, absolutely.
Okay.